Today I'm going to be riding on the double-deck high-speed train from Paris, through the French countryside, and along the Mediterranean coast, on an incredible journey down to Barcelona in Spain. So join me and experience this international train ride. Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm here at Gare Lyon and I'm going to be travelling on a journey between two of Europe's biggest tourist cities. I'll be catching the Renfe-SNCF Cooperatión train down to Barcelona. I booked into first class on the top deck, so it's going to be a nice journey. Let's go! Gare Lyon is one of 6 major railway terminals in the French capital, dating back to 1849 in order to serve as the northern terminus of the Paris to Marseille line. The station gets its name from the city of Lyon, most trains from the station running either to or through the city, which is France's third largest by population. The station today consists of 2 main halls, both of which were extremely overcrowded, with people excited to be travelling once again. Since 2021, Gare de Lyon has been undergoing a major renovation, not only to preserve the historic 1900s station building, but also to improve accessibility and better handle passenger demand. Despite the overhaul taking place, it's still worth mentioning Le Train Bleu, a famous restaurant situated in the station, ordinarily offering a fantastic view over the station hall and a designated historic monument of France. As one of the busiest stations in Europe, expect to see a large variety of trains here, of course including the iconic TGV Duplex, operating high-speed services all over France and abroad. There are also occasional services from the private operator Trenitalia, as well as some regional trains and commuter trains. As shown on the departure board, my train, the 1010 to Barcelona-Sants, will be departing from Hall 2, which is a couple minutes walk from Hall 1 via the old ticket hall. While making your way there, be sure to look up at the fresco painted by Jean-Baptiste Olive, showing many of the destinations on the railway line to his hometown of Marseille. Hall 2 was first opened in the 1920s, acting as a major expansion of the station's capacity. Sadly, like the other hall, this was also majorly overcrowded. Interestingly, Paris Gare de Lyon station is twinned with Barcelona-Sants, my destination for today. It also shares a twinning with the stations of Seoul in South Korea and Tehran in Iran. Anyway, around 15 minutes before departure, my train is called for boarding. Battling through the crowds to reach my platform, I thought it really would be a pickpocket's dream here. Tickets are inspected prior to accessing the platforms, resulting in passengers all gathering around the gates at once. I have to say that I much prefer the more open approach used in most other parts of Europe. Following the ticket inspection, I can now head to my train. Like with many high-speed trains in France, only part of the formation actually continues all the way to Barcelona, with the rear half being detached from the train in Montpellier. Make sure you board the right section, as there's no way to swap until the next station. The Barcelona section is the front half of the train, today formed by TGV Euroduplex set number 806. Built in 2013, the train is designed for international services to Spain and Switzerland at a maximum speed of 320 km an hour. I'll be travelling in coach 12 today. Boarding is done through the lower deck, with the upper deck being accessible by stairs next to the door. Passengers with reduced mobility or those wanting to bring heavier items of luggage are therefore probably best off on the lower deck. Seating is in a 2+1 layout, as you'd expect in first class. I'll be travelling in seat 121, a forward-facing solo seat at the end of the carriage. Today's route starts from the beautiful Paris Gare de Lyon station. First heading southeast along the aptly named LGV Sud-Est, we'll then change to the LGV Rhône-Alpes and LGV Méditerranée, before taking the classic route along the coast into Spain, and finally speeding towards Barcelona. The journey is scheduled to take 6 hours and 44 minutes to cover the 1,086 kilometres or about 675 miles of track. Our journey begins on time at 10:10. The first part of the trip is spent weaving through Paris, running past its railway depots and through the suburbs of the French capital. But not long after leaving the city, we're on the LGV Sud-Est. This route was France's first high-speed line, first opening in 1981 to serve trains from Paris to Lyon and the surrounding area. Top speed is an impressive 300 km an hour. Much of the scenery for the first few hours is the vast farmland of central France, making for a pleasant view. A free Wi-Fi service is offered on board, which can easily be connected to with just a couple of clicks. And whilst the train is high speed, this certainly isn't Wi-Fi à grande vitesse. So, let's take a look at the interior. First off, I have to mention the colour scheme, which is a collection of rather garish blues and purples. It doesn't look great in my opinion. Most importantly though, the seat comfort. The seats in the TGV First Class are pretty wide despite the double-deck configuration. I also found the padding and shape to be fantastic, providing a comfortable trip throughout. Although, if I had one criticism about the seat, the winged headrest is a little bit hard. All seats are fitted with a pair of soft, adjustable armrests, and on one of these you can find the controls for the seat's motorised recline, which I thought was a really nice touch. Legroom is fairly good, with plenty of space to relax even on a longer trip like this one. There's also a folding footrest for added comfort. On the seat in front, you can find this huge folding table. There's no cup holder per se, but a small folding bracket can hold a smaller bottle or cup. Above this there's a small storage pocket, which is cleverly placed in direct line of sight when sat down, so you don't forget your items when leaving the train. On the ceiling you can find an adjustable reading light. There's also an effective window blind at all windows. And a coat hook between them too. Every seat gets a European-style power socket with a small bin found beneath it. After 2 hours at high speed, we still haven't reached our first station, with the train effortlessly gliding smoothly along the French high-speed network. Passing by quaint villages, across rivers, and even flying junctions, we finally slow down to call at our first station. This is Valence TGV, built to allow high-speed trains to serve the city of Valence without slowing down to reach the centre. A few minutes later, we depart the station. It's now really noticeable just how different the climate is down here in the south of France compared to where we started. Anyway, I'm getting pretty hungry, so I think it's time for lunch. The catering service is in the form of a bar in carriage 14. There's also a trolley service, should you prefer to remain in your seat. The bar carriage has a really pleasant atmosphere thanks to lots of space and the near panoramic windows letting a lot of daylight in, though do bear in mind that seating is very limited here. The menu is provided by the Spanish side of the operation, being part of Renfe's El Café del Tren service. I opted for the express menu, consisting of a sandwich, a snack and a soft drink. This cost €9.20, which I think was a little on the pricey side considering the quality wasn't that great. You could easily get a proper meal on other long distance trains for not much more. After leaving the high-speed line, we shortly arrive at our next station, Nîmes. The rest of the journey through France is on slower tracks, shared with regional trains. The scenery isn't the best here, but it picks up a lot later. In the meantime, let's have a look around the rest of the train. Firstly, the luggage situation. Luggage stacks can be found in various places throughout the carriage, some of them quite far from seats though, so be sure to keep your valuables on you at all times. There are also some overhead luggage racks, but these aren't very big, so not really useful for storing anything except for smaller personal items. Moving on to the toilets. Two can be found in every carriage, one on the upper deck and a larger one on the lower deck. These were in a generally good condition, with both soap and water available. Though unfortunately the hand dryer was not working. Some carriages have a small sofa next to the toilet. I'm not really sure what it's for, so if you do know, then please leave a comment. We are now approaching Montpellier-Saint-Roch. An extended stop is made here to allow the rear portion of the train to be detached. Our train carries on to serve Sète, a major port and seaside resort on the Mediterranean. This station has a train shed design that seems to be really popular across the south of France. "45 minutes later, we arrive into Narbonne, which serves as a major junction for the route, linking Toulouse and Perpignan with Montpellier. After leaving Narbonne, then be sure to take a look out of the window while riding alongside the coastal lagoon. You might just catch a glimpse of some pink flamingos. Even if you're not so lucky, this is a beautiful stretch of track and not one you'll want to miss out on. This is Perpignan, the final station in France. The weather here is such a contrast to Paris. There it was under 20 degrees, whereas here it's nearly 40. After leaving Perpignan, we're back on a high-speed line, now speeding towards the eastern Pyrenees mountains, visible in the background. To cross this large mountain range, we use a tunnel beneath the Perthus Pass, a modern construction opened in 2010. A few minutes later and welcome to Spain. The first station in Spain is Figueres-Vilafant, the northern terminus of the country's high-speed rail network. Spain is lucky to have a very large amount of high-speed railways. In fact, it has the second most out of any country worldwide, even beating Japan's Shinkansen network to the spot. Anyway, on to how much today's journey cost. For this trip I was using an Interrail pass, so I just paid the rather extortionate seat reservation fee of €48. An ordinary booking at the time would have set me back around €172.50, which seems like a serious amount of money for one train journey. Though when you consider the journey's length of 675 miles, that gives a price per mile of about 21p. For a first class trip on a high-speed train, it's actually not as bad as it seems. So this seems like a pretty great service, and surely better than driving or flying, right? Well, unfortunately there are a few problems with the route. For example, this is the timetable for trains between Paris and Barcelona. That's right, just 2 trains per day. Overall, I really did enjoy my experience on the Renfe-SNCF Cooperatión train, but clearly a lot of work is needed. At the moment it's more of a novelty, having amazing scenery and decent comfort, but the lack of decent provision for larger items of luggage on what is clearly a major tourist route is a big oversight, as is the poor catering offer for such a long international trip. Going into 2023, the joint operation between Renfe and SNCF is to cease, with each operator hoping to offer their own direct services. We can only hope that the overall experience on this route is improved as a result. We are now entering the tunnel that leads to Barcelona-Sants. The modern underground station is a far cry from the beauty of Gare de Lyon, though let me know in the comments which station you prefer. Arrival at our terminus today is 18 minutes late at 17:02. So what do you think of today's journey? Is this an ideal international train, or do you think that they could do a lot better? As always, let me know in the comments what you think. Of course, this isn't the only international train running from Paris, with the famous Eurostar train beneath the sea running to London. Click on screen now to watch that video, and I look forward to seeing you again on my next journey.